The Honda Accord is now on its 11th generation with 6 different trim types. So which option is right for you? If you make it to the end of the video, I'll show a competitive alternative to the Accord that you might not be looking at. Using Honda's features and specs website, I was able to compile and contrast all the differences between these trim types. And this should explain why the Honda Accord Touring is $11,000 more expensive than the LX. And just for a quick note, the LX and EX are only offered in a gas engine, and then the other vehicles are only offered in their hybrid powertrain. Let's start with the cheapest trim on the list, which is the LX. The LX is Honda's economy trim type, but it still has some features today that used to be considered premium not too long ago. For example, it comes standard with auto LED headlights, it has alloy wheels, not hubcaps, and an automatic climate control system. Now, I know not everyone is happy with the way the 11th generation Accord looks. To sum up some of the criticism I've seen in the past about it, it almost looks like an AI-generated design. If you ask ChatGPT, design me the newest Accord, but make sure the styling is not controversial. But regardless of that criticism, I still think the LX does a good job of not looking cheap. And that's probably because of the hubcaps. Just any car with hubcaps, after some wear and tear, it just starts to look like an abused rental car. And then another thing to note, the LX does have the least amount of color options, and 2 of them require an additional $455 if you want them. For performance, you will get Honda's 4-cylinder turbo and CVT package, which generates 192 horsepower and what I would consider efficient fuel economy. And also, this is probably a good time to mention that every Accord has the exact same suspension system. With the LX, I think the infotainment and interior features is where this vehicle is mainly lacking, but the LX isn't meant for creature comforts. It's perfect for maybe a starting family, or perhaps if you're trying to buy your teenage kid a new vehicle. For the EX, you are paying an additional $2,000 compared to the LX, and any changes in features as a result of that premium I have in green text. The wheels are slightly more stylish with the pewter color, but that's pretty much it for the exterior. For performance, it's exactly the same, no changes there. Now for infotainment, it does have 8 speakers instead of 4 speakers, but everything else is the same. Moving on to the interior, the seats are still cloth, but the front seats are now heated. There's now a dual zone automatic climate control system and plus a moonroof. The driver has a 10-way power adjustment seat compared to the manual adjustments in the LX. And then finally, the rear seats now fold down in that 60-40 split. So overall, the EX is just an LX with very specific feature upgrades that I think kind of hit that perfect spot that a lot of consumers want. So if you're a commuter, you drive a lot, you're going to put a lot of wear and tear on your car. The 8-speaker upgrade, heated seats for the winter driving, and then the 10-way comfort on your driver's seat is probably worth the upgrade. Some people spend an hour or 2 every day in their car commuting to work, so you might as well spend the extra $2,000 to do it comfortably. The EXL is the trim type that's the start of the hybrid powertrain. So let's do a brief explanation on that design and how it works. If you want a deeper dive, please go ahead and watch this video from Alex on Autos. So from his graphic, you can see how Honda's hybrid system, the gas engine is basically a generator for the electric motors. The engine sends energy either to a battery pack or directly to the front motors. Now there is still a clutch between the engine and the front differential, but that clutch only closes during cruising highway speeds. Most of the time it is open, which means Honda's hybrid system is pretty much an electric vehicle that has its own built-in charging system. Here's another graphic from Honda's website showing how it works. The top graphic is a traditional hybrid system, and then the bottom graphic is Honda's. During acceleration and city driving, the electric motor does all the work. When you hit cruising speeds on the highway, the clutch closes and then the engine sends power directly to the wheels. And then finally, when you decelerate, that clutch opens back up and it's being relied on the electric motors. Now with that explanation out of the way, let's go back to the EXL. The EXL is $4,600 more expensive than the EX. The sides are now gloss black and the side mirrors are also heated. For performance, it is now that hybrid powertrain we just talked about. There is technically no transmission with Honda's design because again, when the engine is running, it only operates at 1 gear for those highway speeds. The rest of the time, it's just fueling the electric motors. But Honda decided to call it an eCVT on their website, and that's likely to avoid confusing consumers by saying that they're hybrid engine has zero transmission. The electric motor produces 247 pound-feet of torque, and the combined theoretical horsepower is 204. The combined miles per gallon is 48, which is 16 more than the EX, and then the EXL also has 4 drive modes. Now, there is one downside to the hybrid system. Because of how much space it takes, these Accord trim types do not have a spare tire. Instead, they have a tire repair kit. The EXL has a larger touchscreen. The basic trim types have a 7-inch screen, when the EXL and then the rest of the trim types we're going to talk about have a 12.3-inch touchscreen. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is now wireless, and there's also a built-in Alexa. Finally, for interior features, the EXL has heated leather seats, leather steering wheel, leather shift knob, and the 2-position seat memory for when you have multiple drivers. In my opinion, the EXL has everything I would need in a sedan: a lot of torque, great gas mileage, and plenty of upgrades to make my daily driving commute more tolerable. The next trim type is the Sport. I'm comparing this against the LX, and it is $5,000 more expensive. The Sport has more gloss black trim to include a rear spoiler, and the wheels are now 19-inch alloys. For performance, the Sport has the same hybrid powertrain that we've already discussed, and also slightly bigger tires for the bigger wheels. Now, for the infotainment features, the Sport has these upgrades, which are the same as the EXL, and then for the interior, it's almost the same as the EXL as well. The biggest difference being the Sport has cloth seats that are not heated, and finally the Sport and the Sport L are the only trim types with the blue paint color. Now, if you do care about leather seats, but you prefer the look of the Sport over the EXL, Honda does have one more upgrade for you, and that's the Sport L trim type. The Sport L is $2,000 more expensive than the Sport, which puts you near the same price point as the EXL. But with the Sport L, you have the matte black wheels, a rear diffuser, and then finally the 2-positioned leather heating seats. So if you do like the Sport trim type, but you absolutely need those luxuries like leather heated seats, then go with the Sport L. Aftermarket leather seats alone will cost you over $2,000, so upgrading to the Sport L is a financially good decision. Now, before moving on to the final trim type, I think it's important to compare the 3 mid-grade Accords. The EXL, Sport, and Sport L are roughly the same price, and they have good upgrades. So which one is right for you? Well, this chart shows the prices and also comparison across the differences between these Accords. If the font is green, that means it's an upgrade shared with another trim, and if the font is blue, then that upgrade is unique to just that trim type. Now, this chart is for you to review. I'm not going to cover every detail. And if you are deciding between these trim types, then these are the only differences I was able to find through Honda's spec sheets. So this should be all you need to know. Finally, we have the Touring, which has all the features Honda offers. I compared it against the EXL, and it has 19-inch wheels with side mirrors that tilt down when you're in reverse. The performance is largely the same except for slightly worse fuel economy, and the tires are obviously larger to fit the 19-inch wheels. Now, the infotainment system does have a significant upgrade. It's the only trim type to have the premium 12-speaker Bose audio system with a built-in Alexa and Google. This is also the only Accord with a wireless phone charger and the 6-inch heads-up display. Moving to the interior, the front seats are now ventilated and the rear seats for your passengers are also heated. Finally, the windshield wipers work automatically since they are rain sensing. Now, that is all 6 trim types. I do have a bonus comparison to compete against the Accord, and that's buying a used Acura TLX. The MSRP for a TLX starts at $45,000, but it has depreciated far more than the current Honda Accords. Check out these prices from CarMax. These are the only used Accord Tourings on CarMax at the moment, and they are basically selling for MSRP. But then look at the TLX on CarMax. It has an extra year and about 20,000 more miles, but you're getting it for the exact same price as the Accord. And I think most people, when given the option, would probably pick a TLX over an Accord. Now, I'm not going to deep dive and compare these vehicles, but if you are somebody that's shopping for a newer Accord and you've thought about the TLX before, you might have a bargain here by exploring the used market for an Acura TLX. That's the comparison and that's the video, and I hope this helps you out. And as always, if you find an error in this video, please comment below for other viewers. Now, if I had to balance between my budget and what I need in a vehicle, I would pick the EXL. But I'm curious what you think, so go ahead, comment below, and thank you for watching.